Hi, everyone, and welcome to A Little Breathing Space. It's Clarissa Hughes here, and I am your host for tonight. I am so excited about tonight's show. We are going to be talking about foods that boost your brain and make you happier and calmer. We're going to be talking a bit about smartphones and how we kind of beat our addiction to them. And we're going to be talking something that's really important to me. How do I get my to-do list down and get on top of it? But I am most excited to have a fantastic guest on the show tonight, and that is Dorothy Kuhn. Welcome, Dorothy.
It is a pleasure to be here, Clarissa. Thank you.
I know you are very much a business leader. You've been a woman in business. You work with women to get more confidence and presence. And I know you've appeared on TV and radio right around the world. So it's so great that you've agreed to be on the Little Breathing Space.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And your topic of breathing space and mindfulness is so important for high-powered women. It's perfect for them. And so often it's just not top of mind. When it becomes top of mind and they figure out how to do just those simple things, it makes a huge difference in their lives.
It certainly does. I'd just love for you to tell our listeners, and me too, a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, goodness. Well, I started off life, this kind of mystical Catholic kid running around the woods with my little brothers in the neighbor kids, so fascinated with how cool God made the world. I had to study science. It's the best friend of us. It keeps us out of the world of a wild speculation.
It certainly does. So did you grow up in Texas?
No, I actually grew up on the East Coast in Virginia and Maryland, with a bit of with 3 years in Britain, in and around London.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's my home city. That's where I came from. Yeah.
Very good, very good. And then I got to be really geeky. I wanted to study all about science and math. I graduated university in physics and math and had become so geeky by that point that I'd really lost touch with that kind of mystical wonder and sense of knowing that I had when I was little.
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, physics and maths, that's really hard science. I never quite got that far down. I was more kind of nutrition and psychology. But yeah, physics and maths, they were my bad stuff at school.
I get that. I get that. And it turns out that I may have mentioned that I got my first professional position because I knew more quantum mechanics than anybody else. Really geeky. But here's the thread. The essence of what we've learned from studying quantum mechanics is that nothing in life, at the tiniest levels, nothing is certain. If you think something is somewhere and try to measure it, it will pop up someplace else. That's the essence of mysticism. It's the essence of faith. Having faith when you cannot know. And there are so many things we cannot know, and so how to rest into that and really become comfortable with that uncertainty and to know that you're enough.
I think that's true. I think science, having had a science background and worked with a lot of sciences, they want to measure everything. I get that with the mindfulness. Well, we kind of go, it's been around for about 4,000 years. Why do you need to measure it?
Well, it is measurable. You can measure like levels of brain hormones, our stress hormones that make us feel stressed are measurable these days. And those wonderful calming hormones are measurable as well. So we can measure those things. And meditation and mindfulness practices really help us step into that. And what's important for women in leadership is that those doing mindfulness things that bring us into a state where we are using our body to trigger our brains to give us more of those really happy brain hormones, puts us in a position of being calmer and the person, you look in any scary movie, the giant monster that's coming in is breathing very slowly, and everybody else is panting and running away.
That's very true. Yeah,
if you're
that's
breathing
very,
the
very
slowest,
true.
yeah, if you're breathing the slowest, you're very likely to prevail.
That is true. So how did you go from being really geeky and quantum physics and maths to doing what you do? How did that happen?
Oh gosh, it happened because even though I was really geeky, and when I got my first professional positions, then that was really analysis kinds of things. In fact, I was working in military systems, and I was doing nuclear threat analysis. That's really happy stuff. I will tell you, nobody wins. Yeah, nobody wins in nuclear war. Nobody. But what I realized is that there were people who were a lot geekier than me, and I was not going to be able to get it to the top of that stack of the geekiest people, doing triple integrals and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought, I'm going to need to go to management. Well, darn it, Clarissa, I had to learn some people skills.
Oh yes, that's the kicker, isn't it? Because that I don't know whether you've observed that, Dorothy, in your career, but a lot of people who are really functionally capable, they're brilliant at their kind of specialism, get elevated into management positions. And oh boy, are their people skills missing?
Yeah. And I just, when you, the magic of setting your mind on something, of wanting something to get you to that next place in life that is calling you forward, really is that when you're clear on what you want, you will notice things that were there around you all the time that you just hadn't noticed before because they weren't kind of top of mind.
Yeah. So how did you start getting some of those people skills, those softer skills actually happening?
I'm a person who's always been good at taking feedback. And so when things wouldn't work out well, that's a form of feedback. Nobody's necessarily telling me about it, but I could notice that interaction did not go like I thought it would. What's up with that? And then I was curious about it. I'd see some other people who were influential. And I noticed that it was a very soft and indirect kind of skill, and I was accustomed to being quite direct, and that's a valuable skill to have, but it's not the only tool that's useful in one's repertoire.
No. And how did you have some struggle initially, or was it just the feedback you were listening to?
No, I did struggle with it initially, and I remember being on a volleyball team, and one of my fellow volleyball players was, commenting on how tight I was, and I was really tight in those days, and that mindfulness just lets you, rest into being in a way that lets you, be solidly yourself and come across as, calmly powerful in a loving way. And, all my clients, get to learn how to lead with love, fueled by power. Dr. King here in the U.S. famously said that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and weak. So there's that yin and yang of love and power, and I find when you lead with love and have power right behind it, that sets you up to do amazing work.
Yeah, it certainly does, because then you're coming from the heart. It's a very different way to interact with people without throwing your power away. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. I think we're going to be coming up pretty soon for a break, but I want to really follow up, and I would love to talk with you about how this power and love together helps people to lead. I think that's going to be really, really fascinating to really do that, because that for me is the real skill, and one of the skills that I think women can bring to the whole place.
Yes.
Indeed. So, and then maybe one quick question is, how did that people see the change as you moved to becoming with power and with power and love? Did others see that change in you?
Oh gosh, they saw that I was unperturbable. That things that used to or before had rattled me no longer did.
Wow.
And that alone lets you, developing that skill is just another, arrow in your quiver of being able to be calm and fully present. Exactly.
Yeah. And that was something they really, really, really noticed in you. Did people make comments about that with you?
They did. Like, how this is a crisis. How are you being so calm? Well, I'm just ticking down the, what are the options here? What's the most likely option to get the best result possible? And that, one of the skill sets that my clients get to learn is how to develop options. Because in school, we're taught to get the right answer, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like there's a right or there's a wrong. I mean, I don't think we teach people about options and those sorts of things at all. No.
And it's extraordinary in being able to solve complex problems and to manage risk. And as you move up in any organization, the ability to make those kinds of decisions, quality decisions at speed, distinguishes you.
Oh, totally. So really then there you were with this new way of leading. And did that change your career? I mean, did you see promotions and things happening in your career because of that change in leadership style?
Oh, I definitely did. I made more money. I got more respect. People listened to what I had to say. They knew I was a solid person I could be counted on. And they didn't get the sense of wobbly energy. And when I was younger, I would have thought, oh, that's just the most woo-woo phrase at all. But people automatically size one another up as to whether you're solid or not.
They certainly do. I mean, and I think that I've been led by people whose energy is terrifying, really, both men and women. And the emphasis on the team is you're quite scared of that person because their energy is not good. And, you don't know what they're going to do next. That's been often my experience of working with people like that. Yeah.
Yes, you're exactly right. And the downside for an organization that way, first, if you're in an organization like that, you might think about getting out.
That's why I'm here doing this now. In the end, you have to get out of that because that's where you're stuck there with those kinds of people there, really, with that kind of energy. The unpredictability is terrifying, really.
It is, and there's no way to be able to get a win, so to speak, in the moment. When the other person is determined that they are the only person who can win.
Absolutely not. So, I mean, what did you kind of do next? I mean, did you have setbacks with this new style, or did it all go brilliantly?
Well, learning is means that you're ascending in a good direction, but it's not always up. It's up and down and up and down. As you learn more and press on. And I'll tell you the situation that really compelled me to up the level in a big way. I signed up for what turned out to be a neuro-linguistic programming 2-year course of study. Yes. It was extraordinary. It let me clean up my head and heart trash, and I bring a lot of that to my practice because we'll make these deep-seated kind of subconscious meanings out of situations that can make us jumpy. And cleaning that stuff up means that you get to live in greater power, because that fear, instead of trying to hold it at bay, you've brought it close and turned it from scary into, I can send you into a million little pieces and send you to the wind with blessings.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just clearing out of a lot of that trash and the way we think and feel really can make a big difference to our lives. And I think we've got a lot of negative stories. I don't know if you've experienced that yourself or in your clients.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we all do, because when life is scary, we will tell ourselves a story about that, and we will tell the scariest story we can think of.
Absolutely. We are experts at putting on, glasses and distorting the world, aren't we?
They are. And honestly, back when we, lived very much closer to nature, that was a really good survival strategy, to keep you away from large animals with giant teeth that could eat you.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's the really scary bit when that happens. We kind of like, oh yes, I need to run away, but we're not really running away from an email, are we? We sort of don't need that level of that kind of fight and flight and being scared.
Yeah, we don't. But these days, those kinds of threats, we see that as a threat to our job, it's a threat to our income, it's a threat to our family, it's a threat to our status in the community. So we get that same kind of, flood of those fight or flight brain hormones that, gosh, when, too much of that stuff, and it will ruin your health.
It does ruin your health. I mean, we know that that's why people are so ill from stress, because that's too much of that kind of fight and flight. So how do you work with your clients to change that?
I work in a year-long mastermind with my clients, because, it's not a short-term thing to, do in just a few weeks. And they get the support of a loving community where we've got one another's backs. And one of the early things that I teach everybody is that everybody does the best they can in the moment. If they could see a better option in the moment, they would take it.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? We'd all take some better way to do something right here and now if we could. We definitely wouldn't put that one off. But I think we miss that sometimes in our day-to-day.
And the question isn't, did they take the best option? Of course they took the best option. The question is, what does it take to see more options in a tough moment? And developing that gives you so much, confidence and power. It's a great counterpoint or a complement to cleaning up those old stories and old fears.
Absolutely. I think just having choice and know that you have a choice. And that's what mindfulness is, isn't it? I mean, it's about, for me, when I teach my people, that's what I say, you have perspective and you have a choice of how you want to respond in any moment.
And I had heard that, before I signed up for those couple of years of NLP. Actually, I think it was about 2.5 altogether. And I knew that as an intellectual concept, but I didn't know how to internalize it. And getting that practice, again and again and again, where layer by layer you can make it more meaningful and live within you. That's why my programs are a year long, because people need time to process.
Oh, they do. I mean, I think today, I don't know what your view is, but mindfulness sounds like to me, sometimes when I'm on, Facebook or LinkedIn, it's a bit of a hype. It's like, press this app for 10 minutes every day and everything is going to be fixed. I don't know if you hear that out and about too.
We are a culture who loves instant stuff, instant coffee, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we sure do. We love it to be instant and bam, 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 and it's all done. I think that is very, very true. And, a lot of people say it to me, I press this app. And I'm just going, Yeah, that's fine. The app, is all great, and it's not wrong. It's just such a small part. So I'm sort of thinking of my listeners out there who maybe doing that. Maybe you guys out there are pressing 10 minutes. I mean, what could you be saying to them, Dorothy, about, well, why it's a bit different and why we need to take the time?
Well, I think that is a good place to start. And I always say, if that's the place where you want to start, go ahead and start here. But here's what's possible beyond a place like that to start. When people can notice that you're unflappable, it's because you've developed that ability to see more options. And one of the things, particularly when women are looking at, like moving up in their career, in their organization, there are lots of people who will say, I'm not ready to move up. I'm too busy right now. I hardly see my family enough as it is. I don't want to make that any worse. So they've got this whole story around why it's more dangerous to move up, what they could lose family-wise, and they're not sure what that is. And there's that next level decisioning. So a big part, this is very much a leadership program where, the first person to lead is yourself. My Muslim friends say the first jihad is with the self. And, that the jihad word has a very mystical meaning that, at least here in the U.S., there's a large swath of us that don't get that. But
No.
yeah. So my peace-loving Muslim friends, which is like all of them, are very clear on cleaning up that internal stuff. And in Christianity, as a practicing Christian, that's what that point of view on religious life is also about. So cleaning those things up and developing those options, because as you're going to move up in an organization, you've got to make decisions at speed. And so one of the things that I train my clients on is, what are the kind of decisions how do you find out the kind of decisions that get made at that next level, and what are the criteria by which those decisions get made? Because stewing over stuff for a long time and having to worry about, extraneous things that may or may not be pertinent, means that you can't get to a quality decision, and you certainly can't get there fast.
No, and I think that's true even if you're at a senior position in a job, or you're doing that in your everyday life. That's a very important point. I'd love to ask you a question, because you talk a lot about confident personal presence habits. Mm-hmm. Tell me what that is. I'm seeing that when I'm looking at your website, and I'm seeing some of the things you do. What is confident personal presence?
So that is, if you've ever noticed somebody who walks into a room and all heads turn.
Oh yes, we've met those.
Oh yeah, they didn't make a sound, but everybody notices. That's that kind of energetic owning the room, where energetically you're bigger than your physical presence, for the extent of the room. And I remember earlier, in my young adulthood, noticing people like that and thinking, there is something special about that person. And it is not that they're like good looking in the model kind of beauty GQ kind of sense. They're just regular people. It's that embodied presence, and that comes from being calm, being really centered, holding all your energy, within your body. When I was really stressed in a long and prickly marriage, we weren't bad people. We were just a really bad match.
Yeah, I know that one too. Yeah, sadly, yes.
And I've been there, got a T-shirt, moving on.
Yeah.
So it was, by counterpoint to that person who's got all that wonderful, delicious presence, I was so accustomed to being like needled. These days we've got a term for it, gaslighting.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
you know that one. Oh,
yeah. It's miserable. And it just makes you jumpy. It makes you not breathe. When I first showed up in in the NLP practice, our leader there said to me, Dorothy, we in NLP, we don't have outcomes for other people. You have your own outcomes. But if I were to have an outcome for you, Dorothy, it would be that you would learn to breathe below your clavicles.
Oh yes, all this kind of held tension, and everybody feels it,
Yeah.
and they're around you thinking, "Oh, this person, what are they going to do to me?" Because they feel
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we feel stuff way before it comes out of our mouths.
We do. So I'm going to give you our listeners today, a tip for how to do that. Because when you're really tense, when life feels like a beating and you don't know what to do, the simplest thing. And all of my stuff is very simple stuff that you can do in 2 minutes to 10 minutes, anytime you can fit that into the day. And because people are busy, they don't need something that's big and overblown.
No, they don't.
And so in 2 minutes, you can just go to the restroom and go to a stall. I love this because there are bathroom stalls all over the place. You can go get one anywhere. And just stand with your feet just kind of shoulder width apart and put your hands up in this kind of, a big V with palms in the air like you're, receiving good things from the heavens. And just stay in that position, put a big smile on your face, stand fully upright with the tallest spine you have, and, put your little phone timer on for 2 minutes, and you will, that position automatically triggers, your physiology is triggering your brain to release those happy hormones, and you will feel it. And doing that.
You will. You definitely will. I used to say that when it's a bit like they sort of stand there and just go, I can do this. I'm getting all the goodness into me. It's such a great thing to do.
Yes.
I used to do that before I went to meetings that I knew were going to be difficult, or before an interview. Wow, that's a good one to do that, to just like fill yourself up, because somebody else will absolutely notice that, won't they?
They do. They notice a sense of calm, and they're more likely to respect and much less likely to attack or be snarky.
Yeah. Isn't that fantastic that, something so simple that anybody could do, and you can do it, in anywhere. I mean, wherever you are, you can actually get out and do something like that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so to our listeners, go and try that, and try that tomorrow before or today if it's in a place. Yeah.
Please, one of many 2-minute tips that will really help you. And I always like to offer kind of a choice of things that are, vetted and known to work, because you want to pick the one or two that work for you.
Absolutely. And, where can people learn more about what you do and get more in touch with you?
Well, my website, and they can go to dorothykuhn.com/gift. So that's DOROTHYKUHN.com/gift. And they'll get the essentials checklist for women, and it'll give them a great place to start.
That sounds like a fantastic thing to do. I'm going to be checking that out myself, and hoping that people out there as well, if you want to get some really great habits, I think, Dorothy, you've got some really practical, simple things that people can do for just a few moments. And it is going to make such a difference to the way that they feel and the way that they show up in the world.
Yes. And in the year-long mastermind, then, we get to go deeper and have that community support. But you always want to start with things that are simple and approachable.
Yeah, you certainly do. Well, Dorothy, I have so loved talking to you and hearing your story from, physicist and mathematician to empowering women to have confidence, to have presence. I'm very inspired by that.
Oh, and I am just delighted to be here and serve your audience.
Oh, that is great. Thank you so much for that.
Hi, this is Dorothy Kuhn. Grab your copy of the Essential Checklist now at dorothykuhn.com/gift. You'll love what's on the other side.